He stood stone-faced in the courtroom as the victim's partner bawled his eyes out with pain. But the moment the judge delivered the verdict, his darkest fears became reality.
Judged guilty of the offense of capital murder, and whose punishment is assessed at life in prison, that you be delivered.
This is the moment Urick realized that him and his girlfriend Tammy King's little romantic fantasy was over. They thought killing an innocent grandmother would buy them a future on their own terms. Instead, it destroyed their lives forever. 18-year-old Urick and 17-year-old Tammy King look like any other teenage couple, wrapped up in that intense first love that makes it feel like the world is against you. But there was one problem standing in their way.
At one time, the voice got a little bit loud, and I said, no, it's not going to happen, around here, so.
And when you say that voice got a little bit loud, do you mean Percy's voice got a little bit loud?
Yes, ma'am.
Was he talking to you when his voice got loud?
He was talking with Tammy, but I think him and Tara had been arguing. I'm not sure on that.
Okay.
Tara lived with her grandmother, Tammy King, in Baycliff, Texas. 61-year-old Tammy had taken her in when life had knocked Tara down, giving her stability, safety, and love. But she didn't trust Uriah, not for a second. A grandmother's instinct told her he was bad news, so she laid down rules meant to protect her granddaughter.
And what does Tara say?
I stopped saying I love you back to her about 5 years ago.
And what does she say after that?
I would regret it because I want to kill her.
What Tammy didn't know was that Uriah was already inside the house, secretly living in Tara's bedroom. As Tammy questioned skipped classes and pushed back against the relationship, their resentment grew.
It was kind of a little tense because, like I said, she started missing a lot of school.
She being?
Tara.
Okay.
Was missing a lot of school, and Tammy had, kept telling her, you can't do this, you go.
But instead of respecting Tammy's boundaries or waiting till they were older, these two teenagers made a chilling decision. According to them, for their twisted teen romance to last, Tammy had to die.
This was months in advance, this was the month before.
And Miss King was murdered on February 5th, correct?
Correct. This is January 20th.
On February 5th, 2025, they put their plan into action. Tammy King was shot right in the head in her own bedroom. The girl she had given shelter and love to had betrayed her. But killing her wasn't enough. They placed sheets over her body, like she was nothing more than trash to hide. The couple ransacked her home, stole stuff, and transferred thousands of dollars to their account and barricaded the entire house.
That is another attempt at linking a financial account to Miss King's Cash App. And was this one successful or unsuccessful? Yes, ma'am, it was successful.
It makes you wonder, was this ever about freedom? Or was this always about greed? Uriah and Tara immediately went into escape mode. They cut and dyed their hair to change their appearance, and in an attempt to cover up their crime, they even reached out on social media, spinning lies. They told people Tammy was abusive, that she was on drugs, that they needed to get away from her.
They said that they were trying to get away from their crazy grandma, that she was controlling and just crazy overall.
Okay.
Meanwhile, back in Baycliff, Tammy's boyfriend arrived for a welfare check. Can you imagine walking into that house, finding the woman you love murdered, hidden under sheets, and her home destroyed? That's a nightmare no one should ever have to live through.
Is another attempt at linking a financial account to Miss King's Cash App. And was this one successful or unsuccessful? Yes, ma'am, it was successful. Previous profession, you had smelled that smell before.
From friends, we became to where we was involved, with each other. We both loved each other.
The investigation exploded. The manhunt intensified. And 3 days after they had killed Tammy King and ran, thinking they were clever enough to get away with it, Uriah and Tara were arrested in Laredo on February 9th.
The two were brought back to Galveston County last night and booked into jail after shooting Tara's grandmother, Tammy King, and ransacking the house.
The couple who thought they'd ride off into the sunset together, living off stolen money and twisted love, were now facing capital murder charges. Their fairy tale had become a horror story. When Uriah's trial began in November 2025, the courtroom became a battleground. Chief Prosecutor Kate Willis told the jury this case would show what happens when young love turns dark.
It turns into something darker when somebody is going down a path and takes the other person with them. That is what happened with Urick and his girlfriend, Tara King.
And dark it was. The prosecution presented those devastating text messages and Instagram conversations showing weeks of planning. They also showed evidence of methamphetamine use.
There was also some more meth that was later found in the vehicle.
They seemed very, rushed, and that they were just trying to get away. They seemed very, very flustered, I guess. And, a gun bag.
Okay, and what do you mean by a gun bag?
It was shaped in a gun shape.
Okay.
Witness after witness took the stand. The prosecution argued this was premeditated murder driven by greed, drugs, and resentment. Two teenagers who saw a loving grandmother as nothing more than an obstacle.
Don't tell her anything. If you argue, there's a huge chance it's bad. It gets physical. I don't want to kill her if it ruins our lives or isn't on your command.
The defense? Bill Anyu acknowledged Uriah's involvement, but claimed they were two naive, drug-influenced teenagers chasing independence, not money. He argued the state failed to prove this was capital murder.
The reason they killed her is because they were, in all honesty, they were incredibly naive. And they were also, so if you remember, they were also using meth. And that has a tendency of doing very bad things to your brain. I'm asking you to please find him guilty of murder and not the capital murder. Thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to your verdict.
But the jury wasn't buying it. After just 3.5 hours of deliberation, the verdict came. But before we move ahead, if this case has you gripped, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Stories like these remind us why justice matters, and we cover them all right here. Now, back to the verdict. Guilty of capital murder.
State of Texas versus Uriah Urick Jr., clause number 25 CR 0515. We, the jury, find the defendant, Uriah Urick Jr., guilty of the felony offense of capital murder as charged in the indictment.
Uriah Urick showed little visible reaction. The same young man who texted about wanting to see bullets shred through skin now faced the consequences. In Texas, capital murder carries a mandatory life sentence without parole, and at just 18 years old, his life was over before it truly began. But Uriah's trial wasn't the end of the story. 2 months later, in January 2026, Tara King stood before a judge. Jury selection was about to begin for her capital murder trial. But then, she pleaded guilty on her own. No trial, no defense. Just a guilty plea and an automatic life sentence. Both teenagers got sentenced to life without parole.
And whose punishment is assessed at life in prison, that you be delivered to the sheriff of the Galveston County Jail.
But is that truly justice? Can any sentence balance what was taken? Tammy King will never see another sunrise. She'll never hug her loved ones again. And for what? A few $1,000s? Some guns? The twisted fantasy of teenage freedom? Uriah and Tara made their choice. They chose to take a life. And now they'll live with that choice every single day for the rest of their lives, behind bars, where the law says they belong.